A growling tummy, bloated appearance and a general discomfort after certain foods are the mainstay of sufferers of irritable bowel syndrome, a condition which can make life fairly unpleasant.
The most common problem you have in irritable bowel from the pathology point of view is that the bowel is literally irritable. So what should be a transient discomfort in the tummy suddenly becomes a major pain and discomfort and can last for hours and almost for the life of a person. But it's an overreaction by the bowel. The causes of irritable bowel syndrome are obviously a variation of normal, therefore anybody who's highly stressed can get irritable bowel symptoms. So there's more than that, because some people have severe problems without noticeable stress. So one of the non-stress causes is thought to be inflammation. So if people get some inflammation in the bowel, they get some pain, and that cycle just keeps on continuing. Other causes are probably related to poor eating habits. If your bowels don't work properly, then you can expect any trivial insult to your bowel and stress or infection to have a much more severe reaction.
Symptoms can vary from person to person depending on age, health and diet. IBS can sometimes be difficult to diagnose if symptoms are sporadic in occurrence.
The first symptom that we were talking about irritable bowel is bloating and excessive gas in your stomach. Another symptom that's characteristic of irritable bowel is an irritable rectum. And how you know you've got that is that you feel you need to go to the toilet, to pass stool, but when you get there, nothing happens. Pain is variable. Some people get severe pain and some get mild.
There is no cure for irritable bowel syndrome, so good management and prevention of episodes are the best option. One needs to discuss options with a doctor or dietitian.
Treatment is to reassure people there's nothing seriously wrong, and then to try and restore bowel function to normal. For a person with an irritable bowel, that peristalsis that simply moves things down the bowel does not work well. It's irritable, it tends to clamp down and do nothing. So we need to try and change how your bowel works from a crampy, spastic situation to what we call nice soft peristalsis. And what causes nice soft peristalsis is hard pieces. And by hard pieces, the classic one would be whole millies. They are a natural stimulant of bowel movement. Those are the main things to help your bowel. Now you want to avoid more gas. So there's no point having the gas-producing vegetables. Any fiber will make gas. And the final thing you want to avoid is things that make your bowel contract further, which is the laxatives. When it comes to medicines, there's really no medicine. There are antispasmodic drugs that often are given to patients for pain. Those drugs actually work quite well to relax your bowel back to the normal size, so they're quite useful.
Diet is obviously the biggest game changer for someone with IBS. Fiber intake needs to be controlled, as well as consumption of refined foods. Our resident dietitian and personal chef Kelly has some handy hints on foods to manage IBS, as well as a great recipe you can try.
If you struggle with symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, it can help to avoid foods that contain FODMAPs. Now, FODMAP is an acronym for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monounsaccharides, and polyols. So if you're wondering what that means, those FODMAPs are resistant starches. So they end up in our digestive system because we don't digest them very well. So the bacteria that are in our guts ferment those, and they create gas as a byproduct of their metabolism. And that gas can cause some of the uncomfortable symptoms we experience with IBS, like the bloating and cramping. So the recipe I'm making today is very low in those FODMAPs, so it should be perfect for somebody who's trying to manage irritable bowel syndrome. I'm making a warm aubergine and chicken salad with a tahini dressing. So I start with the chicken and the aubergine, which I'm going to drizzle with garlic flavored oil. It's very important that you don't use garlic and onion in your recipes because those are two of the major contributors to the bloating that happens in IBS. But there's no need to exclude those flavors altogether, and I'm going to show you how. Let's start with a garlic flavored oil. What you'll need is the garlic clove, and you can just bash it under a knife on your board and then take it over to your stove and warm the oil with the garlic clove and then remove the garlic clove from that oil.
Warm the oil in a pan or saucepot on the stove to gently infuse the flavor of the garlic into the oil.
Take your nice garlic flavored oil and drizzle it over the aubergine that's been cut up into nice big chunks. And then you can toss it around with some salt and some pepper. And when it's like that, You can put that onto a baking tray and then use the remaining oil in the dish with that salt and pepper to coat your chicken breasts, which you'll then put onto the same tray, and you can bake that all together in an oven at about 180 degrees for 20 minutes. While the chicken is cooking, you can make the tahini drizzle that's going over the whole dish. So take your 1/4 cup of tahini, you'll need to loosen it up with a whisk, and then take a half a lemon at a time. You're going to use the juice of probably the whole lemon and possibly some water at the end as well. When you've got the right consistency, then you can add some flavor to this. So you can just stick to plain old salt and pepper, and what I'm adding is a few drops of stevia to add sweetness to it. But you can also add a little bit of curry powder or some fresh herbs. You don't have to be boring.
Once your chicken is cooked, cut it into neat slices. Next, start to assemble your dish by layering some green beans and olives along with the aubergine. Top with the cooked chicken and pour on the tahini dressing for a delicious meal you can enjoy without the fear of upsetting your delicate tummy.
So even though when you're trying to manage your IBS, you might need to be careful of your food choices, there's no reason why you need to eat boring food. There are lots of very healthy and interesting recipes that you can add to your repertoire.